Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today we're back. We're back after a little break. We're here to wrap up Skeleton Crew, to wrap up the season as a whole, or the series as a whole. We don't know yet. We'll get into that. And any other sort of Star Warsy stuff that's going on as well. And we've got a good deck here. We've got Catherine Kneen. Hello, Catherine. Welcome back.
Hello. Summer's drifting away. Now I'm back at school.
Summer's done. Those summer nights.
Those summer.
There's 3 months of holidays.
Oh, and we've got our resident Danny Zuko here, Matthew Mohl. Hello, Matthew.
Hey!
And welcome you back. I can't think of what Grease character he's like, but it's good to have him back. Andy
It's
Bell
Rizzo!
It's Rizzo.
Hello.
Well, that was
Glad to be
not where
back.
I was. It's good to have you back, mate. It's good to see your smiling face. And yeah, it's wonderful to have everybody here. Shout out Turbo couldn't make it tonight, but we do have a very consistent one in, one out policy on this podcast. Whenever somebody can't make it, we always get another one off the bench. Another soldier comes in, as they say, Matt Mohl, as Alison Clarkson used to say.
The Hawks, soldier out, soldier in.
Yeah.
Funny Grease sci-fi trivia. It took me 5 seasons to figure this out. Kaniki from Grease was the security officer on Babylon 5. The chief security officer.
Oh.
Is he no longer with us, Kaniki?
He is no longer with us.
Sorry to hear that.
He was Earth's last best hope for peace at one stage.
Yeah, right. Didn't Grease Lightning wasn't actually his car as well, like in the play, when they changed it for the movie?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know why I know that. I've only seen Grease like once in my life as well. Like I don't know why I know this.
Theatre nerd.
I don't know why I know that weird piece of trivia. So we've got off to a very interesting start. I think up the top, I think we'll get to Skeleton Crew. We'll get to that, but Star Wars stuff's been going on. We'll just go around the room and talk a bit of Star Wars stuff. Celebration is bearing down very close, and we'd be remiss to not mention that one of the members of the team was frantically refreshing the Celebration website on Friday. Catherine, you can divulge as much or as little as you want to about your escapades.
Tell me you got one,
Celebration
Catherine.
booking.
Yes, so live while recording a pod, recapping the Eldani arc of Andor with Hawes and Turbo. So available now. Have a listen. You can
2 hours and 10 minutes of goodness. No
you
credits.
can hear me totally, checking the website, getting updates from you about the Walking Man, the frustrations of Walking Man being paused. So the whole thing had crashed. Saw later on the Facebook site that it was initially charging people in American dollars and not yen.
Yeah, so people are paying $286,000 for a photo with Alan Tudyk or something instead of 286,000 yen, which is a little bit of a difference.
Yeah. That sort of.
I didn't realize that you were recording at the time. I have started listening to that episode of that Geek Pod, but I'm not very far in. Because I was messaging you because I was just, I knew you'd be on, but I was sort of just, I wasn't sure how in the zone you were, if you needed any IT support.
So I did, tell them beforehand, look, would it be all right if we did that? And they're like, nah, go ahead. This is good content. But honestly, podding with them was probably the best way to do that because it stopped me from frantically walking around my house as that Walking Man walked or did not walk. Then, yes, I did get in and, oh dear. So Diego is signing things, having photos, and then also having there's a Cassian and K2SO group shot.
Oh,
And Catherine,
bought them all.
indeed I did.
It's happening, people. Catherine meeting Diego times 3 or 4 or whatever it is.
Well, are you getting signing photos? Yep. Oh my god!
And it's like, okay, the signing the photo, yep, or signing some other item, okay. I have
It's good.
problems.
The hilarious thing is that obviously we were just saying off air, but we'll repeat it. Bears repeating that the first interaction will be the trickiest. There'll be all the pent up, the excitement, and everything like that. And then Catherine does get excited, and anyone who's seen the videos know, and that's what makes her great and makes her a great fan. But there'll probably be a second of just okay, let's calm the farm. Good to meet you. Woof, it's all a bit much. But then it'll be in an hour or two later. Oh, you're back again. Oh, hello. Nice to see you again. Oh, hello again for the third time. So maybe by the third time you'll be like really like, hey Diego, hey again, it's me.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be awesome.
What's sad?
You're gonna be with Alan Tudyk, and Alan's gonna be like, he's gonna go. This is the lady I was telling you about before, Alan. This is the lady they had to carry out at the start.
What would happen if Catherine tweets, "We are one day closer to meeting, seeing Andor 2," and then Cassian tweets, "I'm one day closer to meeting Catherine Kneen." What would that do to the Twitter sphere or the exosphere or just general health? General health of Catherine. I've singed the circuits.
If the sort of fandom that sort of surrounds us that knows of this at all, if they saw any kind of interaction between one of my posts and Diego or any of the makers, if they're aware of what I'm doing, I think fandom is just going to melt down, and I'm going to wake up one morning and go, "Oh, toodaloo, I've got to go to work, blah, blah, blah. Why do I have 1,000 notifications?" It's going to be insane.
Are you going to dress up as Elmo and ask to recreate that hug?
No, but I have thought of what T-shirt I'll wear.
T-shirts.
And well, I've thought about the I'll probably wear the Daughter of Ferrix T-shirt. That's an option, or my Chris Hall Cassian T-shirt. But I thought, maybe that's a bit too much.
I think the Chris Hall would be like, he'd be like, damn, that's I've never seen that as much.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, but also you could just wear your Dirty Dancing 2 Havana Nights T-shirt or something.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I don't know if you.
If only we knew people with graphic design skills who could make you a Dirty Dancing 2 Havana Nights T-shirt.
Maybe you should do one for each interaction. Just do like a
different shirt.
Yeah, do a different shirt for each time you meet him.
Because the first one will probably be dripping in sweat by the time you get through the first. Like, I've just got to wring this one out and do a quick change in the loos before the.
Exactly.
Oh man, it's exciting.
Yes, Sunday of celebration is Diego Day. So everyone mark your calendars. That's Diego Day.
That's the day my children are coming to celebration with me as well too. So.
And who's going to be, the more troublesome, the more hyperactive?
You.
Me.
Sloane, my 6-year-old Sloane, or Catherine and Diego. My girls know you, Catherine. They might be like, "Is she okay?" She seems a little excited, and just like, "No, she's all right. She just really loves Star Wars." So that's exciting. So off the bat, so that's Diego Watch. We'll be counting that down. We'll be getting getting all the gossip as it comes to, and hopefully we can get the moment captured in one way or another. Well, there'll definitely be a photo, if nothing else, that hopefully Catherine will share with us. Now, let's double back around onto Skeleton Crew, which is now finished. And since we've missed him the last couple of weeks here, we don't need a recap, Andy. But let's just how did you feel at the end of it? I assume you've gone through and watched it. Why would you be here
Oh
otherwise?
yeah. I've watched it multiple times and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not going to go into. I've talked about this wax lyrical on my own, on our own pod. I've spoken to you guys offline with it. It's exactly the content I wanted at exactly the right time of year. Um, I have rewatched it over and over and over again. Now, Catherine, I know that you and I we were talking a while ago about how great it is to watch it week on week and speculate and talk about it week on week, which I agree with. But I have watched it back to back about 3 or 4 times now, and I was talking to Sean about it this week. It would make an awesome movie. It would make an absolutely awesome movie if done right. It's always that. It's always that mantra. If done right, it would also make an absolutely it's a really good story end to end. It's a self-contained beautiful piece
Do
of
we need the
writing.
fan? Do we need the fan cut? Do we like those people that cut
Yeah,
the Hobbit movie
yeah. I
into
mean,
the
I
into?
don't want to say that, but I'm saying that. I mean, because everything about it I loved, but I have for various reasons. I've spent an awful lot of time this week being in a position where I've been able to watch it back to back, literally back to back, and excuse me, folks, and it's been brilliant. It's been absolutely fantastic. So I'll leave it as that. I've loved every minute of it. It's made me happy. It's the right tone, um, and I hope they do more of this. And I would say I am struggling to work out whether this or Andor is my favorite Disney.
Whoa,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, 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 yeah,
damn!
yeah, yeah, yeah.
them
No.
fighting words.
Well, no. The reason why I'm struggling is because I put them in the same kind of caliber in terms of quality. I put them in the same kind of bucket of quality. So I will struggle. I see them on a par. So let's just leave it as that
So
before Catherine gets into
Explodes.
fighting talk.
I've like this. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, this has been the first Star Wars thing that I've watched post leaving X, and having very little to do with that site now, not really getting much exposure. Maybe we are in a little echo chamber over in Blue Sky or whatever. It's very enjoyable over there. So I don't really know what the nitpickers are going. I mean, Mohl, you lurk in the darker sides of the fandom at times. Do you have any, like, is it just like the same old complaints that people have, or is it sort of a bit more bulletproof?
What are you saying, Joshua? Hang out with the degenerate side of town on the internet? Is that what
The
you're
back alleys?
implying? The people that can't get their mics working and such. Look, I haven't seen as much ruthless campaigning and complaining and misogyny. Star Wars theories been pretty quiet, but I'm not sure if I muted him or just my AI algorithm decided he's just a twat and doesn't need to be on my feed. But I haven't seen as much negativity. In fact, I actually saw a post the other day that The Acolyte was the second most watched Star Wars show this year.
That was second most watched streamed show on Disney Plus out of everything. Last year.
Not of all time, like.
Well, no, of last year though. So
if
out of
you
all
add
the
up
stuff
all
that was
Catherine's
streamed,
Andor rewatches,
yeah. Well, at least it was. I think it was live action because I think Percy Jackson was the most streamed, but Bluey is the most streamed show in the world. So I'm assuming it's the original content that they're talking about. Like, nothing holds a candle to Bluey. Obviously, we all bow at the altar of Bluey, as we should. But yeah, so I don't know what they were expecting it to do if it did better than everything else that came out last year. But anyway, that's another discussion. But have you gone back and rewatched it, Mohl or Catherine? Have you gone back post it finishing up? And
I haven't. And just on that, I mean, with Acolyte, I would see people commenting on Instagram posts of just let's not go there. Admittedly, I'm not really looking for comments this time round, but I don't randomly see them like that anymore, like those sort of negative comments. People do seem to be genuinely enjoying it. But no, I haven't gone back to rewatch, not because I didn't like it, but just because, well, I'm rewatching Andor and I'm like, I'll watch a few other
I can do
things.
that.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, well, but it's, you wouldn't necessarily, unless you've got the time, like Andy's got the time
Yeah.
at the moment, you go back and just do a complete run afterwards. But I know, sometimes you go back and rewatch stuff. I know, Mohl, you tend to get a good rewatch of things in, but you kind of randomly.
I have not watched it, but I am still doing my part for Disney and keeping it afloat. I have watched Pirates of the Caribbean 1 to 5, and fell asleep. I don't even know what the last one's called. Dead Men Tell No Tales. But I've never seen the last two, so like new Disney content is a rare thing for me because I sort of just lost interest in the pirates. But I'm back.
Now you got to watch like Cutthroat Island, or all these are when they tried to bring pirates back before that, or Hook, or you get on a real pirate turn.
I think I'm on that pirate turn.
And
so I want to, when I finish the 5th Pirates and then petitions for Johnny Depp to be reinstated as Captain Jack Sparrow, then I'll get on to Skeleton Crew rewatch.
All right, you're one of those. All right, well, we'll get that. We'll get that. Well, let's go. I mean, there's no point recapping the show. We'll watch the show. I think we'll just sort of touch on elements of it and just sort of talk about what we think. I think, going in when we started this thing, we kind of we were like, a lot of this rests on the shoulders of these kids, and if these kids are a bit shonky or a bit shady, well, not shady, but like aren't particularly great actors, the whole thing could probably fall apart pretty quickly. But I think Andy, it only took about 10 minutes into the first episode to go with. They've got some gems here.
Oh yeah. I mean, the acting chops of these kids is pretty astounding. I mean, it's the caliber of these kids is great. I mean, you've got especially in the last episode when we thought that when everyone thought that KB was a goner and the ship was going down and crashing, the reaction of the kids at that moment in time was pretty believable. And again, an awful lot of this is down to the writing, the way that it's been written. It's been written so the kids interact with adults and the universe like kids would. Not like some sort of cheesy, like some sort of cheesy, patronizing idea of how kids should interact. But no, the kids have been pretty amazing.
Yeah, and like Catherine, we spoke about going, they've got this big name, they've got Jude Law. Is he going to have to kind of carry the show on his shoulders? And like, don't get me wrong, like Jude Law was fantastic and having a great time, but it wasn't as if he had to carry the show.
No, like it wouldn't have worked as well as it did if the kids couldn't, carry it as well as they did. Because you think of episode 6 where we found out more about KB. She was the emotional heart of that episode, and she had to sell it. Fern, having her own crisis of confidence about her leadership. Wim, his ups and downs. Neil being delightful. All of it had to sell, and they had to meld together as a crew, and it all worked. And you're absolutely right that the dialogue as written made them sound like kids. It was written as kids talk. It, like saying stuff like claimsies. I mean, and fandom has just, claimsies that. So that's, and, like Wim going, it's too invincible. All these things it sound like kids, and they're able to do it. But yeah, absolutely right. Jude Law
He's a bad man.
But he was fantastic in this role. He sold it so well. He brought the light and shade. I've heard on other podcasts and things around where how there's that debate of you take a movie, fill it with Muppets. Who's the one human you would have? Of course, we've got Muppet Christmas Carol with Michael Caine in that role. It's now like Jude Law could do that.
Yeah,
like Jude, he could absolutely.
He's a lot more
do
versatile
that.
than I probably gave him credit.
Yeah,
and I always liked him, but what do they do with him now, Mohl? Like he's a star, but do they spin him off? Does he? I mean, we'll talk about where we can go with the show. Like, do you just do a season 2? Like, is this Star Wars Pirates thing? Is this the Jude Law backdoor pilot? Like, is this another show where it's like?
I want a Moss Nass prequel.
Right, you're not going to answer my question. You're just going to.
No, okay.
What would that entail? With your boy the pirate, what's his name, Blurg or whatever.
Vane. It's just Vane if he's Spanish.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we can move on. Like I think we can leave Atten and open it up as a free trading port or a planet that's fully accessible to the outside world, and just let these people out of the bubble, and these kids can go on an adventure. I think now that the secret's been had, there's no reason to keep on the great work, or it just becomes a bank, a known bank or safety vault. So people can go out and start having a purpose outdoors. And
it's still pretty hard to get into. You know what I mean? Like, okay, granted, all the money's there, but it's it's still a big vault there. You'd be able to protect it.
Exactly.
Unless they just take the money and shift it somewhere else. Because you could be like, all right, well, we'll clear out 1,000 of the vaults, and then we'll just use it to keep producing money, but we'll just clean it out more regularly. So it's not like it's got all the money in the world.
They don't need to. They just need to get security around the planet, saying, "Oh, this is our vault, and we have armies to safeguard it, and the people don't need to do mindless, the busy work or whatever it's called again, the great work. They can just have jobs, and then encouraged to go live a life outside this bubble."
Yeah,
I hope so. I hope that I hope there is a journey or a second season of some kind. And I think that with and I don't know, guys, but I still remember the little wry smile that Jude gave at the end of the finale. It just, for me, it just promises something.
Like, I'm not done yet.
I'm not done yet. You know what I mean? That smile that he gave the camera, the little wry smile. It's I hope there are more stories to come. Whether it involves Atten or not, I don't. But specifically for Jude in Star Wars, you can't waste an asset like that.
Well, it's funny because we were just talking about, and you mentioned it, Catherine. The Acolyte, got a lot of crap, but it seems like a lot of people watched it, but doesn't look like it's coming back.
It's definitely not coming back.
But Andor seems to have been watched less. It's coming back, but it got all the praise. So is the praise more important than the viewers in order to bring this back? Like, it's this show's not short on praise. Is praise enough to get more of it?
I think the biggest advantage that Skeleton Crew has was that it's a kids show and kids were enjoying it. You had your girls watching it. You hear numerous people, had their kids watching it. It was the first thing really where people have felt like, oh, I can just sit down and watch this with my kids. I don't need to do a watch beforehand to make sure it's okay or it's not appropriate for them. You know, it's getting kids engaged with Star Wars. It's engaging the next generation.
Mhm.
So is that long-term view of it's getting kids engaged in the fandom and perhaps becoming long-term fans, is that worth spending the money on?
Yeah. And now you've
Damn
established
straight.
everything as well. So it's not the first off the jump going, hey, it's a new show with new characters you don't know. There's one famous person, but and it was a lot, and also it was a lot of mystery about it. We didn't really know what the show was, apart from the kids find a spaceship. Like, you go into a second season of that now, and you've kind of got enough of a jumping off point where you're like, well, I don't know where they're going to go with this thing, but I like Neil, I like Fern, I like Wim, I like KB, I like Captain Jack, I like them all. I want them back. I'm up for more Star Wars. I mean, do they need to make these things cheaper though, Andy? I mean, the whole point of building the volume was that they would be able to make this, because George Lucas talked for years about making Star Wars TV. It was always too expensive. And then they made a system to make cheaper TV.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, they don't use it. And they spend a bajillion dollars making all these really expensive sets and stuff.
Well, I think that don't we know that this production used the
one? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the way forward. Is it going to give us the fidelity that you're going to get with a big blockbuster? No, of course it's not. But at the end of the day, it does give us Star Wars and content, which is so key for Disney going forward. They need
and it's
content.
Still only being viewed on a TV. And I know that they do some. We've been to some screenings, Catherine, and they do chuck these things. They chuck Kenobi on, and we saw it at Celebration, but we saw it at IMAX or wherever the hell it was. We saw Kenobi, and it looked fine. And that was a lot of that was shot on the volume. So
let's face it. Some of the prequel. I mean, the prequels were green screen, notoriously. Well known that Ewan and the rest of the crew had to act surrounded by green screen and objects that didn't exist that they had to interact with, and it was cumbersome for them. It was hard work, and you can see that. You can see that in some of the when you rewatch the prequels today. We have this facility now in the volume stagecraft. Let's just use it and get more content. It's not maybe you have a signature production like Andor's that you really do spend your money on, but ultimately as a business, Disney Plus can't survive without content. And if this is the way to get content on our screens, I'm all for it.
I also think they're better at using the volume. They're getting better at using the volume and doing things like with set dressings and other things to make it look better. They're integrating those two things, I think, a bit better because like people say, Andor didn't use the volume. Actually, yes, it did. They used it for Mon Mothma's apartment. They just built the apartment, but all the windows and all of that was all, the volume.
When's the last time you saw Mando season 1, Mohl? Can you remember the last time you watched it? Does it look a little shonky? I seem to remember it looking pretty flawless.
It was really good, Mando season 1. But they especially went out of their way to build insane sets. Like, you just build the middle of the road. Like, you build that lava stream and everything. And then the rocky roads around it. And they just got better and better with it. But I mean, the only time Mando looked weird was when they were flying in space and the stars on the outside were just dots, and it looked like they were moving at 0 kilometers an hour, and you're just like,
that's a bit like Red Dwarf or something with just the sheet over the window with a couple of little fairy lights in the background or something. Like
hyperspace is fine because you put the little blue, whatever the animation thing, but sort of just in the atmosphere, sort of just that sub-light speed. It looked like they were just floating at a very slow pace, and
Yeah.
that was
Which
the
is
only time.
fun. It's funny that even back in the early days of trying to capture like that World War II, fighter planes, they had trouble capturing the speed. Trying to get that speed, and George Lucas with the original, he had issues trying to capture the speed with the fighter, like making it feel like it was at speed. So it's one of these things that is still hard to do, capturing planes or whatever flying at speed.
And does it? I mean, are we spoiled? Do we need? Does it have to be perfect? I mean,
No.
it's like you're saying, the prequels have got plenty of bits that look a bit shonk. Plenty of the originals have bits that look a bit shonk, and it's kind of the charm of it. I don't think it's sort of. I don't know. I would rather them spend half as much and have it look a little bit weird in places if it had to, if it means that we get it, as opposed to not getting it.
Amen.
And maybe that's just a little bit where they've lost their way a little bit and just kind of throwing money at this thing and thinking that that's the difference. But I don't know. We'll see. I would love to be at Celebration, and I mean, what are they going to talk about at Celebration for TV? Any predictions, Mohl? You'll be there. Well, obviously, we already know Andor's coming, so we know Andor. This is the end of Andor. Like, is Ahsoka season 2 the only live action thing in play at the moment on TV?
I think so, but they might announce the next. They would announce something. Like, I know that they love announcing things. They don't have to follow through on it. I mean, Star Wars never follows through.
This is the problem. So you either give them crap for announcing something that doesn't happen, or you give them crap for announcing nothing.
Well, I think they've said that there's only going to be one Star Wars show a year. I mean, if anything, they were talking that they might have a Mando season after the movie.
Yeah,
they're revisiting that, and I think that's the good.
But this movie isn't like, again. Why is this movie coming out in another year? Like that that Jurassic Park movie that Gareth
Scarlett
Johansson one, that's coming out in like this
July.
year. That started filming in like October or something like that. Like some insane turnaround.
Yeah,
like
that's an easy reboot. Okay, different people, dinosaurs.
This Mando movie
shit goes wrong. Like
Mando movie is already finished filming. I think it finished the end of last year. It's got another whole year after this before it comes out. It's not until summer next year, so it's still another 18 months away. Like, what are they doing?
Why can't we have it for Christmas?
Wait, yes. I don't get what the big freaking holdup is.
Maybe they'll bring it. Maybe that's the announcement. We're bringing forward the movie to Christmas.
They better show something. I mean, they got to show something at Celebration at least. Like, this thing's got to be almost in the can. I don't know. I mean, I know they've got like 4 movies up in the air that may or may not be happening at the moment that we don't really know. But like,
this is the. I hope that they use Celebration to balance everything out. To kind of set the story straight, right? To just let's use Celebration as an opportunity to clear the decks. This is what's happening at this moment in time, and you can use that to build up the excitement, etc., etc., etc. But I really, really hope, for everyone's sake, that we get the opportunity to really understand where we are at, because, quite frankly, after Andor, it looks very, very quiet prior to season 2 of Ahsoka. And it looks. I was going to say it looks quite bleak at the moment. So I hope I really do hope, for everyone's sake, that we get something.
Well, speaking of Ahsoka,
and not just a timeline.
Yeah. Well, we haven't even touched on that. They have recast Baylan Scott. They've recast him. It's
yes.
It's they're not doing a weird CGI thing. They're not using old footage, and they're actually going to get another bloke in the role, which is
they're not getting Liev Schreiber like you'd hoped.
No, they're getting the guy from Game of Thrones, the Hound. Somebody get that man a hairpiece. He's going to need one.
2 chickens.
I always remember him as the guy from Hot Fuzz. He's like yarp. That's But good. Like great. The character lives on, which is good, and I'm sure that would be the way that Ray Stevenson would want it. I think that the character gets to exist.
I think
still.
recasting it. I think recasting it is good because it's it's relatively low risk. The character himself is relatively low risk, and it kind of provides Disney with an opportunity to experiment. If we dip our toe in the water about recasting, it may well set a precedence for the future about recasting other characters.
Is this the second? Will this be the second biggest recasting of a character at a Star Wars thing, apart from Han Solo? Like, as far as like, it's clearly not that person. It's not a face swap. It's not a makeup thing. It's not a digital double. Like, have they done that? I mean, I've Donald Glover, I suppose, as well. Donald Glover and
Mon Mothma.
Yeah, but at least
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, I suppose, but that was still a different timeline. It wasn't just like the same person at the same time.
Boba
you
Fett.
Kind of go, Boba Fett, one helmet to another helmet. It will be a slight, because it happens in shows. It happens all the time in things. They replace the original, guy from was it I Dream of Jeannie or Bewitched, or one of them. They replaced the original Darren. Was it Bewitched?
Yep.
Becky from Roseanne. They changed Becky from Roseanne for a few years and changed her back.
Roseanne tweeted herself out of her own show.
Yeah, well, they didn't recast her. They just they didn't put her back in. So it does happen, but it's just interesting, especially in this world of digital face swapping and digital doubles and all this kind of stuff that you can potentially do. That they're not actually going to do that.
I'm glad they're not, because I would understand if they were doing that if they're having to finish off a season, like if he unfortunately passed with a few scenes left to go. I could understand them sort of finishing off the season, doing that type of technology. But I'm glad that in a way they're paying respects to him, in that they're going, look, we're going to recast. We're not going to, but also we talk about how they spend their money. This is a far more sensible way to spend their money.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And the recasting is for a sad reason, but it's for a reason that the whole of fandom understands and will be accepting of. It's not, something that people are going to fight against. It's okay. We understand why this has to be done, and it is better than doing a lot of face stuff or just not addressing that storyline. Like,
it does show that he's still crucial to the. I mean, at the end of the show, he was sort of standing on that mountain thing. It seemed like he had a pretty crucial role to play. So Mohl, do you reckon Bobby I's just gone through with the red texter down at Lucasfilm? He's just kind of like, hey man, we got to streamline this operation a little bit. We're burning too much cash down here, guys.
No, I don't think so. I think actually with Inside Out 2 making 1.6 billion, Mufasa killing it, I think that sort of subsidized the coffers of the expensive television. That because at the end of the day, they're creating more content for the Disney Plus channel, and their very, very rigorous remake policy seems to be working and generating money. Like, they can't come up with anything new and creative. Let's just make Ice Age 6.
Do you think there's like a Star Wars bucket? Like, I know nothing about how this works, but obviously, like, the 3 movies that came out post Disney, the 3 sequel trilogy. Then you got Rogue One, all made a lot of money. Solo obviously didn't make any money. But do you think that they just like take that bucket and they go, "That's the Star Wars bucket"?
No,
that's all profit, and we're gonna just dig into that to do the TV stuff to keep stuff going, and then we'll top it up with the movie later on, and that's like how the it doesn't all just go into George Lucas's bank account anymore. Is it just the Star Wars bucket? Or do you think it just gets moved like, that goes over there and that goes over there and that's making Tron over here and
it's an enormous conglomerate. Like the Marvel is topping up the bucket and draining the bucket. The animation, everything. It's like, and then there's a fiscal year, and they literally just go, all right, the budget for all you guys is this, the expectation is that, and they just reset it every year. It's not like, we've still got some credits left over from how good Rogue One was. Let's get a few extra stormtroopers for this show. Like, I don't know. You are not.
Sorry, guys.
Disney's private.
We have to recast.
Yeah, they've got a lot of divisions. Obviously, like there's parks, there's cruises, and all of like movies and all of that. But within that, there would be like a Lucasfilm type of thing, and it would be looking at their investment. Are they getting a return on investment in investing in Lucasfilm properties? I think they made back the $4 billion they spent on it initially relatively quickly, but then you think they also invested that in the 2 Batus that they built. Of course, the Star Wars hotel.
The
his name
Star
escapes
Cruiser.
me. Yep,
that was a bust. But, Brittany Brown is susceptible for about 80% of the cruise money at Disney. So Catherine needs about 90% of the Andor merch. So she's doing those two are doing their parts.
Yeah, they're doing the heavy lifting over here.
Yeah, it is sort of interesting, but I don't know how they make their money or how they with streaming. It's a funny one, and I don't think anyone's quite worked out, the accounting with streaming yet. I think I've read somewhere in the last few months that Disney Plus has sort of figured out, this is how we make money from it, because but I don't know. I think they were investing a lot more money than what they were making from it, so they do have to try to find that balance. And I think Skeleton Crew, from my point of view, I don't know what they spent. It all sounds like a lot. I think it's good money because it's also a future investment. If you're talking about the money on some of the other things, are they drawing in new fans? I don't know. Skeleton Crew was.
Yeah.
Well, I think because Disney don't distribute their things like Netflix or anything, they self-house the IP. They're actually just increasing the brand IP and value. I mean, I think I saw a thing the other day saying, they spent $4 billion on buying Star Wars Lucasfilm, and that investment is now valued at around $52 billion now, if they were to sell it. Yeah.
Wow.
So is there
Bobby I, can you come and help me with my money, please?
We'll see if he's listening.
Wow.
So Andy, is there a ceiling to what they should be spending on these shows? With this, this is good quality stuff. We've established it. We think it's been reasonably successful. I mean, Star Wars is still in the top 5 IPs probably in the world, potentially. I don't know. Maybe stuff like TikTok and Minecraft and stuff. I'm not too sure. I can't really speak to that. But it's as far as franchises and stuff, it's still pretty big. It still gets a pretty big chunk of the pie. But is it? It's still got to be a ceiling of what you can spend on this stuff, isn't there?
I'm guessing there's a. I mean, Matt, let me know what you think here. You're the finance guy, but I'm guessing there is a bill of material, or there is an average expectation. There is a cost that if you're looking to spend this amount, then this is the budgetary expectation. This is the return on investment that we expect you to deliver if you're going to spend this amount, and that will be flexible. That will be, if you're looking to make 200 million, or if you're looking to bring on, I don't know, 100,000 new subscribers, then we'll invest this with you.
Yeah.
And then there's a variance to that depending on what your return on investment expectations are. I mean,
Can you bring them in and can you keep them? And
yeah,
and that's the thing. Also, is like, can you keep them? And like you're saying, you're going down to one Star Wars live action show a year. Like, you're kind of going, all right, well, maybe I'll just switch off my Disney Plus until it,
well, this is it.
until it comes
This is
up,
it.
it comes back in in a year's time. And there's no cartoon at the moment either. And like, I like some of the other things, but maybe I just wait and do it all in one hit. Watch the Star Wars show and then catch up on the other shit.
This is it. I mean, this is the reason why I was so surprised they made such a drastic move with shelving Willow. Now I know Willow didn't do the numbers, but you keep it there as content, surely, unless, of course, the
residuals are more than the cost of the and that's the other weird thing we don't know.
More than the cost, yeah.
But it seems like a lot. Like a lot of those,
you should have. But with any I mean, at the end of the day, Netflix, Prime, they're all, yes, they stream new content, but they're also a library of historical content as well, which is essentially one of the charms of the service that they provide, or it should be one of the charms of the service that they provide.
Well, I read a thing the other day about
so removing it is crazy for me.
Yeah, well, I read a thing the other day about like the movie with The Rock on Amazon, Red One, I think it was called. It was like some sort of Christmas movie, but it cost like $250 million or something to make, some insane amount of money. But apparently, it was because
there's no back. For The Rock.
Well, there's no back end anymore. The Rock's like, I ain't getting no back end on this. You got to pay The Rock up front on all of this. There ain't no back end deals no more. Let's just assume that there are no residuals coming at this thing, because you could just potentially pull it off the thing whenever you want. So it's all got to be upfront money for The Rock. So it's the business is changing.
I think the business is all a bit. There's accounting mysteries in there, because isn't the running joke that Men in Black hasn't ever made money?
Yeah, and I think it's harder to hide that now, because it's like you've got hard data, I think, a little bit more. So you can't be like, oh, well, the Argentina box office was soft, so we can't, we move all this stuff around. Now it's a bit more like, nah, you just got to pay me up front on this. Yeah.
That was part of what they fought for in the strikes, wasn't it?
Yeah, to be upfront about where the money's going.
Yeah.
Let's get back to
the
show. Well, we can't solve this right now.
We're
not running Disney,
stuff.
Not yet. Yeah, that's just like, finally something up my wheelhouse. We've got about 10 minutes to go in here. Let's round it back onto Skeleton Crew. Where do you want to see this story go, Matt? You sort of touched on that, what you thought might happen at Atten, but we'll come back to you last. You can keep going in a second. I'm going to go because you've already sort of given an answer. Catherine, what would your Skeleton Crew season 2 look like? Would you pick up tomorrow? Would you pick up when the kids are age appropriate? What would you do?
I think you have to pick up when an appropriate age with the kids, because they have visibly aged, with all the gaps in filming, whatever. And for some reason, they have to go find Jod.
You could say for some reason they had to go through puberty.
Well, they've got to do that as well.
Years. Skeleton Crew, the puberty years.
Got to go find Jod and be on some mission that only Jod can help them with. Charming, beloved Jod, who he'll be on Atten, having conned somebody into thinking that he's fine. Oh, I was always here. What are you talking about? I've always lived on Atten. I'm not some stranger. And he's just slipped into the environment. You say he's bad, Mohl, but let's face it, would he have invaded the planet if the pirates hadn't found him in the first place? No. He was just in the situation.
This is just quarterbacks Forgiveness.
Andy,
Jock forgiveness.
Andy, what about you? What would your season 2 of Skeleton Crew look like?
My season 2 would be a separate story with Jod, up to hijinks. It wouldn't involve Hazhatin. It would be a separate pirate story. It would be that. It would be that elusive pirates code name that we've seen being leaked on future productions. And I think
So
it would be. It
do
would.
the spin-off
I
show
think it
first.
would be. Well, maybe not even a spin-off show. Maybe it will be still called Skeleton Crew, but it would involve Jod and maybe an appearance of our buddy Hondo and Aka.
Skeleton Crew, Jod,
Lost Maps.
Hondo.
Hondo, bro down. What about you, Mohl? Anything you want to add to what you reckon? You were sort of saying that you're still on that Atten.
Well, I mean, remember on the French planet that we went to, at Kratten or something, when they were in that sort of, Indiana Jones cave with all the markings around, wasn't there like 8 planets in that sort of circle, and there was at Atten, at Kratten, and 6 others. So
yeah.
It does open up, say, well, there's enough mystery. Like if there's a French planet, there might be a Belgium-style planet or some other Germans on the other planet. Who knows? Like
asterisk, like it's
anything's possible. Like we could literally, you've got 6 other planets to play with, and these kids might be like, oh my god, people might be trapped on these vault planets. We got to get them out and help them and get rid of these voids and take it on. Sign me up, Bobby.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Catherine's right. You've got to jump forward in time a little bit if you're going to center it around the kids. Has life kind of got back to normal and the mundanes kicked in again? Even though now it's an outpost of the New Republic. It's a New Republic planet, but not much has really happened. You still got to go to school. You still, you're not big enough to leave school and stuff. So life kind of goes on, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea that Jod is, maybe there's still enough significant treasure there, or maybe he got away with some of that treasure, but he got away and he's trying to lay low. But the kids,
he puts together a crew. I'm putting together a crew.
Whether he's still pirating or whether he's
Vane lives.
Vane lives.
Unfortunately, Blurg doesn't live.
Oh, you had to pour one out for Blurg on behalf of Turbo. I believe. I think he was in our chat earlier. So all he wanted to do was have a little glowworm farm or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Weed farm or something.
Yeah. He didn't even get to, see the treasure. He just didn't even get down to the planet. He just got fried by that big electricity thing. It's unfortunate for him. Yeah, all right. I'm down. I want to be in that room, the Lucasfilm panel. Somehow, if we manage to get into that one in Japan, and Kathy Kay comes up and she puts the whiteboard up, or wherever it is, it won't be a whiteboard or whatever it is. She'll have a little clicker, and she's like, "Yep, Skeleton Crew season 2 is coming back, and the gang's all here, and production starts soon." Or, I mean, do they turn up in this Mando movie? Or do they turn up in... Because this Mando movie is not the wrap-up Mandoverse movie, is it?
See, that's so confusing.
What happened to the Avengers-style event? Are the kids going to be there?
Well, we don't know.
That huge confrontation. But apparently in the Mando movie, Embo is supposed to be the main antagonist. And Embo is a pirate-style person.
And they're just really leaning into pirates, aren't they, at the moment?
Look, if Hondo turns up in that, fine, because Hondo's
fine, more than fine.
Yeah. Plus, that would also then tie it into Galaxy's Edge.
Cad Bane's probably still alive. What's his name? Timothy Oliphant. He'll be there. Ming-Na Wen.
Fennec Shand.
Fennec Shand and Cobb Vanth. They'll all be there. They'll all be dusting them all off. That guy that Steele likes, that everybody hates. What's his
Toro
name?
Callaghan.
Toro Callahan.
He's
He'll be
dead.
there.
He's dead.
No one's dead in Star Wars, mate. He'll be the first bloke to die with him and that Ewok in Return of the Jedi. The only 2 confirmed kills.
Toro Callaghan.
So
It
it's
hadn't been mentioned in about 5 years. Wow. Steele's going to be so happy.
Yeah, bring them all back. So yeah, look, I think we can safely say we all really enjoyed the heck out of Skulls and Crew. I really enjoyed it. It was the first Star Wars thing that I got to watch with my kids straight off the bat. They were really into it. They really enjoyed it. They're pumped for Celebration. So they're not going to be at the end of this episode because they're in bed and school's back and everything. They sort of wrapped up their thoughts last week or the week before last. But yeah, I was hoping it was good and it was better than I thought it would be, which I guess it's what more can you ask for, really? I want more.
Amen.
Yep.
Amen, brother. Yep. More of that, please.
How many days to Andor, Catherine? Surely in the 80s now.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Woo!
I think I did 85 last night. I'm unsure of my counting.
Well, that means we're 12 weeks away. That's 3 months from Andor.
And Celebration.
How many days until you meet? Are you going to do 2 tweets? Or are you just going to just do them into the one? X amount of days till Andor season 2. X amount of days till I meet Andor.
No, I'm not going to tempt
fate.
fate.
Faint.
You have to take up drinking sake or something, I think, in Japan, Catherine, just to calm the nerves a little bit.
Something, yeah.
No.
Just cut, 1 or 2 less diet Sprites or something. Just calm the sugar levels and just go straight into the Japanese rice wine. Set you on the straight and narrow.
I don't think so. No. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's going to be super exciting, and I'm sure people who follow this podcast and follow your exploits will be right there with you, getting ready to see how it all plays out. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. I'll have my kids there with me that day, like I said, so I probably won't be there firsthand, but we'll see. Maybe.
Someone's going to have to pick Catherine off the floor, Josh, and that's going to be you.
Maybe I could get Sloane to do it.
You, Sloane, and the other one.
What's funny, she's curious about Andor because Andor's the title card that comes up during the credits of Skulls and Crew. It's like, hey, do you want to watch something else? And I don't know if that's the same for everybody, but Andor is the one that comes up on our Disney Plus
every time.
Yeah,
every time. And I've heard of other people as well. And I like them suggesting Andor, but it's that
that's my thing.
Quite right.
I know it's just more that she's just going, oh, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's a Star Wars show. She's like, oh, can we watch that? I'm like, well, the first episode he does go to a brothel and then shoot some cops and
still he's committed murder several times and yet Catherine still forgives. You've got such a bad boy fetish.
Oh, so many.
Cassian literally murders an Australian guy in the first second of meeting him, and Catherine's like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna."
Is he Australian? That guy.
Australian.
That's an Australian actor. The one who's
in Rogue One. No, he's British.
No, he's British as.
He was in
British
Line of
as.
Duty. He was in Line of Duty and a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
Call the midwife.
Probably he was.
Yeah, probably.
Thank you guys for coming. Doing the wrap up on Skeleton Crew. I can hear you typing back, by the way.
Sorry.
Apologies. We're on a new recording format too, so if the sound's a bit wonky, we haven't quite got the teething out, but we're looking for alternatives for Zencaster at the moment. So this is
Spelt Out Studios, though.
We're currently on Wave Room at the moment. We're trying out, but we've got to the end and the backup's recording. So worst case, we've got something. So we'll see how it goes. But we'll have some other guests on as we get closer to Celebration. But I'm sure you guys will be back in one form or another before we're out the door, and we'll probably do a Celebration preview show with the people we know who are going as we get closer to. And then, of course, Andy, you're not making this year, but you're always welcome to come and chime in, do some requests, some fetch quests, things you want us to make sure that we do as you
Thanks, Dave.
You sit on the bench for this one, then gear up for I don't know, Florida, or whatever it'll probably be. If there is in America in 2 years, who knows? Maybe it
Gotta
won't.
be.
Maybe it'll be in Melbourne, and we'll all rejoice. But thank you, Catherine. Good luck back another school year.
Yes, and not enough of them will distract me by asking me about Andor. Like, it's like, dudes, like, if you want to distract me from talking about maths, ask me about Andor. Come on.
They haven't figured out that hack yet.
Yeah, it's only
No.
day one. They haven't back at school yet. Yeah, they got to find out. You need somebody older kids like, hey, this is how you get out of your math homework. You see,
the new kids are just updating their software on this one.
Mohl, good to see you again, buddy.
Thank you, mate. Good to be here. Perfect attendance, sort of, except for that one episode.
Big year for 3 Men and Baby Yoda this year. I can feel it.
It's a big one. Big one.
It's a big one coming.
What are the Zencaster logins? I didn't even use it this year.
Well, I'm not going to say it on here, but you've got. It's good for three more days. Or you can just use
money well spent.
Money well spent. And Andy, always a pleasure, buddy. Good to see you here as always.
Thank you for having me, buddy. Really enjoyed it. It's been fun.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody soon. I don't even know who's on the pod next, but it'll be a guest, and we'll see you then. Thanks.
Can't wait for Natalie Portman on Ahsoka. Woo!
Oh God. Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.